Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel. Hello.
We're back in the
Yes.
cold winter.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's weird, but it's not weird. Was it weird for you to go from summer weather to winter weather, like when you saw the snow again?
Yes, it was really weird. My body didn't know what to do. And then today it's like snowing, big chunky snowflakes. It's all very weird.
It wasn't for me. By the time I got home, I was so dead inside and tired. So I was just like, okay, we're
Ah,
home. We're home. I'm just going to say it, everybody. I love my kids, but it's very different when your comparison to this vacation is like going away without having any. It's different. So, like, based on that, it was like a big shock. It was a
big
big shock.
shock.
It was
Times
very kind.
three.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun, guys. We had chance to relax. I was so happy because it's been so long since I've been away. Technology has evolved. That's what I'll say. I
It
know
really
how old I
has.
sound, but just the fact that we were able to have like our TV apps, like our recordings from our own TV on the phone was amazing. So it was actually really nice to be able to like watch while I was there, even though I could not keep up with posting because every night I'd fall asleep while watching. So I couldn't get a post together. So I did it for like one day. So we're back, and who knows what we're going to talk about. My notes are all over because like Monday's notes are weird because I watched it there. Isn't that weird that I watched Mondays
Oh,
in
yeah.
Dominican and then, yeah. Okay, we're here. Okay.
We're
So
here, kind of.
we're
Cheers.
here. Okay. Yes. Okay. Let me see where my notes are. I guess I'm going to start just to complain a little bit.
Go for
So,
it.
like, I love how like Drew's lost his mind, right? He went from like
100%.
a relatively like normal person, then it was like, oh man, this guy is like too nice. He's
A
not like,
bad guy.
I, well,
Yeah.
no, at first when he returned after all of his trauma, he was like overly nice, right?
Oh,
He was
yes,
like,
yes, yes, yes,
he
yes,
was
yes, yes.
extra friendly, Drew, to the point where like, does this guy get mad? Like, does anything bug him? And now we know everything bothers him. Everything bugs him.
Everything.
And now it's like he has like no shred of decency, and he's leaning on one of like a thing that Nina used to have. Where it's like he did this thing, right? Like he's been doing and acting in a way that's upset people, right?
Yes.
And he's all like kind of like how Nina did, like, well, I did this thing, but a bunch of people have done worse. True.
Hmm.
But it was like, but we still need to process it though. It's not like you do something and because other people have done the same or worse, that there is no reaction to anyone else. This bizarre assumption that time will freeze. Everybody will be like this. As humans will be like, oh, you did this thing that I feel hurt about and angry about. But you know what? Other humans have done bad things. Why am I feeling hurt and angry? Like it's just, it baffles me and he won't stop talking about it. He's like, my mom that I barely visit or talk to doesn't even want to see
Hmm.
me. And I just want to be with my girlfriend. And it's just like, and he won't stop talking. And I cannot stand when he keeps quoting Quartermain history. And I'm like,
I know.
stop
It's
it.
like not even your memories.
No, he's a counterfeit Quartermain. Okay, that's what that
Hmm.
is. And like he's whining to Martin, and Martin's like, okay, like, aren't you like a
Well,
congressman? Like, aren't you a grown man? Like, can you stop? Can you stop whining?
well, it's like I think he pays Barton to be his best friend at this point.
Well, nobody else would listen. And I just kind of love that Jordan's there to kind of set him straight. Like you're not acting like the person anybody has ever cared about or believed in. And so we've seen what he's done, right? Like, obviously, all the Michael stuff, the way he intruded with
Yes.
Willow. He's really upset right now. Like, he didn't care about the Quartermain, right? And having access. He was more than fine with leaving and living in a hotel with his daughter. He even pulled Scout out of the Quartermain house,
Yeah.
but now he's like, I must get back to there, not to reunite my daughter with her brothers, but to reunite myself with my nephew's wife. Like, it's just, and so there's that whole thing. And then it was going to see Curtis.
Oh man, that was
That would,
so. Okay, it's
yeah.
confusing because Curtis, how did you feel during that scene?
Okay, So, okay, so many things. I mean, so many things.
I knew
Like
it. I knew it.
it's hard not to be pro Curtis at times. Like, because remember before, I did think it was weird. Like at the time, being like, I
Hmm.
feel entitled to his company. I was like, dude, it's not
Yes.
your company. But Drew has accumulated so much douchery that I'm like,
Right?
honestly, take his company. So I kind of find it really interesting. And I loved how they did it. They really balanced things. Like they really made it make sense. Like they introduced things that were kind of, you're like, what? And now you're like, yes. So I kind of love that we get to be in it too, that we have that experiential thing going on where we're flip flopping in our feelings because of how they're writing it. And so there was a time where you could have a middle ground with Drew, but he's full blown. Like the final straw was the McConkey thing. So
Yes.
With Curtis, I think Curtis is like, dude, you stole your nephew's wife. He's recovering from burns, and all
Hmm.
Drew can say was, "But I didn't burn him." And it's just like, okay. And he
I
feels
also
like
didn't know he was burning while I was doing his wife.
exactly. And he says this like everyone else is gonna be like, oh my gosh, my mistake. I
Sorry.
you are a good guy. so so he's
He
like, I
didn't know,
wanted
guys, and he didn't do it.
and it was just like for Curtis, that's a lot, right? Like Curtis thought it was like that's
Yes.
what's really funny, right? Because for Curtis, horrible was you promised me something and you took it back. What?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
that's where Curtis is at. It was like, what? You made a promise and then you're gonna take it back. And that prompted him to like take his company. He was like, how
Right?
dare you offer me something and then like take it back? I'm going to take your whole company from you. So already Curtis has a really big reaction to that, much less trying to wrap his head around the fact that Drew wants to steal the company from Michael while Michael is at his lowest after stealing his wife. Like all of this, it's so funny. Like now that we've landed here, it's really
Hmm.
bad. Like he's accrued a lot of things that really cement he's a bad guy. And then so
Yes.
now he's like walking around angry. Monica won't let me in the Quartermain grounds. Curtis won't give me back my company. I want to take it away from Michael, just like I did his wife. And now he's like blackmailing him or extorting him. I don't really know which is the
Extorting, I
word.
think.
Yeah. So saying like you need to give it back or I'll like slow your projects. And so I kind of loved how it ended today. So for me, I'm just like, I love that Curtis came to a point where he's like, yeah, I don't care. And we know why, because he has the resorts in mind. So he doesn't really care about this project, but still, it was a meaningful project because he promised
Absolutely.
a dying man to honor
Hmm.
that man and to have his wife cut the ribbon and his family present as they work on this project to honor his memory and his legacy. That is the final nail in the coffin. That is horrible.
So bad. Oh my word.
Like no decency to McConkey, no like remembering any of that. And I was really happy
Hmm.
that that conversation was had, that it included someone like Jordan trying to call him out on that. And I just loved how calm Curtis was about the whole thing. He's like, I don't care what you do. Like, you're going to have to like answer for all of this. But before they got there, I was like, but that's exactly it though. I would kind of put that out into the press, not necessarily that like
Yes.
that he's doing bad things, but being like, Drew wants nothing more than to honor the man who gave him his spot, right? Like
Yes.
we put out that whole like narrative and the bond between Drew and the McConkey family. Like I would have done it that way, like putting it into the media that it's like a done deal. Because if he doesn't
Exactly.
do it, he'll look bad. But their conversation, like when you say, how do I feel about Curtis? It's like, I like go Curtis because he's calm and Drew's like, you look a little tense. And I'm like, no, you look like your head's
No.
about to explode. But then he said something to Curtis. And I was like, huh? He landed one. Do you remember it?
I was saying, like, you know what it's like because of like his wife or whatever, or what he
No,
did, or something like that.
to be honest, it's not the strongest, but it's just I'm shocked that he said it, right? Because Jordan, because you talked about this, that Jordan has been pointing to this. So when it comes to Curtis, they have been
Hmm.
pointing to the fact that like Curtis loves honesty, like almost to the point where it's like a little comical. Like we know that
Yes.
see as a line with Curtis. And so then Drew decides to say, about everybody lying to you, you're the common denominator in people doing that.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. I don't even know
Right?
if that's an insult, but he said it. And I was like, I kind of enjoyed it, even though I'm like pro Curtis in this whole scenario. I
Yes.
love a little Curtis dig. I'll take him where I can
And it
get
was the
him.
tiniest of digs.
It was tiny, and honestly, like, I don't think it means much at this point, but I
No.
loved what Curtis left him on because Drew was shook. He's not wrong. Like, in terms of, like, power dynamics, I think Curtis is picking up on things, and frankly, I'd like to believe it's because he learned everything from Jordan, because Jordan was the one
Yes.
at the very beginning helping him navigate Michael's deal when he approached him. I cannot believe we
That's
spent this much
true.
time talking about Curtis. Like, I'm stunned.
In a positive way.
Yeah. So I mean, at this point, it's like Portia's loving where they're at, with him as CEO and what that brings. So yeah,
Yes.
I think, one thing, like now that they're like, look, they're really bringing the nostalgia. They're really playing in to the history of these relationships and really bringing in these major historical elements into
Hmm.
everything. And the one thing that's missing is really like that corporate stuff, with like Cassadine Industries going like who knows where because the Cassadine did is so
Yes.
dismantled. Um, Quartermain infighting a little bit put to the side because of all of the actual personal drama, the loss and the accidents. So I mean, yeah, we need a little bit of like that corporate stuff going on.
I totally agree. I'm really enjoying it. And especially when Drew's like talking about, you really want to do that with my company. It's like, oh my gosh. Like he just says all the wrong things at the wrong time.
But for real though, like honestly, someone should just keep leaking these consistent stories to the media. And I love that
Yes.
Curtis realized that he needed somebody who had more power than Drew. Like he's this newbie in DC and he won't even go there.
Exactly.
Anyways, so Willow. So
Oh,
his
poor little
lover is
Willow.
back on the grounds. He's
Yes.
not happy about it. Tracy is not happy about anything.
No.
But what did you think about her return to the gatehouse?
Well, I think I love the way they're weaving in Sasha into this story and how
Hmm.
protective she is of the children. So when that all kind of figures itself out in time, a long time from now, because I want Michael to, be able to see his kids and have custody when he comes back, it's all fascinating the way they're weaving it together.
Yeah.
I find it interesting how Willow is clinging, not clinging, but right now it's all about like mom, not Nina, because she has somebody on her side and somebody who's believing everything that she's saying. But also, Nina's
Yeah.
doing such a good job of managing her feelings. Like to see Nina in this light, and we say it often ever since she's kind of taken that turn. It's so fascinating to have her watch every step Willow takes and make sure that she manages her feelings as to, yes, you should stay. Basically, don't listen to Drew. He's not allowed to come here, and that's fine, and I'm
Oh
okay with it.
yeah.
But I'm on
Oh
your side,
yeah.
Willow. I'm on your side.
Like the moment Tracy made that clear, Nina was all in. She's like,
Yeah.
I'll be here all the time. I'll move in if you want. Do whatever. It's all good. So I love that. I love that. But the debate is still whether or not she should tell Willow.
I think she should have done it a long time ago. And I think
Yeah.
where they are now, it's still kind of weird with Willow because she's still doubting her own gut feeling and still has Drew in the back of her head. I mean, right now she has Nina, who's talking some sense into her. She has Chase, which I feel like she wants to sleep with, but she's got people on her side that she's listening to. And but I think it has to go a little bit longer before Nina has like her full trust and for Willow to actually see who Drew is without love eyes.
I agree. I think you're right in the sense that like Willow doesn't have she's not on solid ground. And when you say she doesn't trust
Mhm.
herself, like the girl's got no self. And and like you're right because it's in 1 minute it looks like she's of sound mind and she's making this
Yes.
decision and she's like putting her kids first and just trying to like get her priorities in order. But then the moment Drew steps in, even though he sounds like a loon, like even though he
Oh yeah, big
sounds
time.
off the rails, racing thoughts, all about the Quartermains, it's just so strange that she's not like calling him on that. Like it's so blatant. Like Willow was always the person to kind of make everybody look at both sides. And the fact that she can't hear how strong his narrative is just annoying. So yeah, I think there is some legitimate fear that she's not in a place to maybe see who actually has her best interests at heart.
Yes.
But I do think that Nina's gaining ground where I feel that regardless of what Willow thinks or how she reacts, like I feel as the viewer, which has little to do with Willow's life, that Nina has definitely earned that place. Like I feel like she's earned the place to kind of drop that bomb and for their relationship to still be solid. I feel she's earned that, but obviously that's not necessarily like what's going on right now.
I totally agree. Like I honestly like the best part of when Tracy came into that what is it called their house? It's not the lighthouse.
I know. I almost said the boathouse. I see they live in a lighthouse, a boathouse. No, they live
The
in a
garage house?
gatehouse. The
Gatehouse,
gatehouse.
gatehouse.
Yeah. So they're like, this
Anyways,
is what I
totally not
picture.
important.
This is what I picture. You know, like when you leave a parking garage and that like long stick like lifts up to let you out.
Yes. Yes, that little
I
hut.
okay. So for, no, not even the hut, but just that they built a house just right beside that. So I
Oh
feel that
my
right beside our
god.
house is that thing that goes up and down. Like
I
they're
love
right
it.
at
I
the
love
gate.
it.
Like they're right at the gate. They're not in the house, they're not outside the compound. They're just they're exactly beside the gate. That's what I think a
Well, we
gatehouse
know that
is.
landscape and it can be weird in Port Charles, like Germany, Port Charles, whatever. But anyways,
France and the
Tracy,
Haunted Star, whatever.
exactly. When Tracy compared her a little bit to Nell, I so loved that.
Okay, it's happened like twice where people have
I know.
said Nell, and like I am wait because like remember Nina like anything about Nell. She was so defensive, right? She
Hmm.
believed that Nell was this saint. And it's so strange to have Nell's name brought up like this in a bad way. Like it's brought up as an insult, and Nina says nothing. It's
Yes.
so weird. It's so weird. Okay, you talked earlier about like Will probably wanting to sleep with Chase. So, I mean, if Joss was wondering, she said, "I wonder who you'll leave Drew for next."
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
when you said like I love how they're setting this all up, and I have to say, like we talked about this, like the writing is more settled. Like you can see where they're going. They're really like setting things up, and it's just like I would say that the story that was most solid and most I think kind of won us over a little bit was the Willow stuff, right? So the Willow Michael
Yes.
stuff was slowly coming out, and it's been going on for a little bit, but there's so much connected to that, right? There's the Sasha component,
Hmm.
and then off of the Sasha component, you also have now Chase is talking to Willow, and he got some pretty bad news with her. So it's like off of the Willow
Yup.
Michael stuff, you have the Sasha, which attracts the Cody, who's like town crier, and Jason.
Oh goodness.
Then
Hmm.
then you have okay, so Chase, which leads into Brooklyn, and then to Brooklyn's drama with Cody, Dante, and Lulu,
I
and
love
they're
it. I
setting
love
the
it.
stage with like Lulu coming out this week with her feelings for Dante, and also how the murder fits in. So now that they've announced to everybody that Sam was murdered, it's like it does change things. Like when the Davis girls were together, they're like, well, now we're looking at everything through a different lens, through a sinister lens. It's really
Yes.
funny. It was like
Yeah.
so like it was like the audience talking. It was just really hilarious. But it does change
Yes.
things, right? Like there is I like that they're keeping that debate, right? Because you have Sam dies, and that's why everybody was angry. It feels like Sam gave her life for Lulu. But now
Hmm.
we're able to get into the nuance of it a little bit. And I find that her being murdered changes everything, right? It makes it
It
less
does.
complicated. Without the murder, it's too sticky, it's too messy, and it's too weird, you know? But now that she's murdered, it kind of in time more easily pulls Lulu like off the hook of any kind of like guilt or association to the
Hmm.
Sam death. So it's like all of this right now being laid out along with like Geo, all stemming from like the Willows, like
Yeah.
it's all going to be connected. So you talked about her excitement, like she's so excited to have someone talk to her. What did you think about their interaction? What I was surprised about was getting that like ew face from Chase when Willow was talking about Drew. I wish he made the face so she could see it.
I know, but I like that it made it clear because remember when they're in the hospital and
Yeah.
he tried to like kind of make her feel better and convinced her like it's not her problem. We were like, Chase, what are you doing? Don't feed into this delusion. So you see that he has logic and he does believe in the good side and he's trying to nurture that. But he definitely has opinions. I mean, Chase has grown a lot over his time in GH and there's
Yeah.
like some gray space and he can see both sides and it's not just for the sake of good and love and all the rest. So, and even when Tracy was asking Chase, like, what is your opinion on this? He walked away. Like, he doesn't actually want to say what he feels, but we all know.
Well, I think what he's doing is really focusing on Willow, right? Making her the
Yes.
focus and not giving any attention to something that he is like a little disgusted by, right? He
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
have
fair.
respect for Drew. He says he doesn't like how Drew's operating.
Hmm.
And I'm just saying, like, I don't know how he's doing that. Like, I don't know how he's
Truly,
not
though,
leaning into
yeah.
his pettiness and being like, he's such a loser. But that's the point. He wants, like, his priority is just trying to support his friend that he thinks has lost her way. He's
Yes.
trying to get her to trust herself. He knows that sharing any strong opinion will Drew will go nowhere because I think he sees that there's still a strong hold he has on her. So I think that's what he's doing, right? He's doing it the right way, but I just don't know how he's mustering the strength to do that and have
Honestly.
that patience. And when he's like, "We brought you a housewarming," I'm like, "What?" I mean, it made sense. Once all the quartermains were like arguing about it, like Ned's right, like we're not in a position of power. Willow has all of it. We're grateful to have the kids back. Like, we cannot push further than this. So, I mean, it's
Yes.
interesting that the rest of the family is on that page, but trying to reintegrate her because even like Drew, she's like, because their first argument that for them felt meant, well, we're cleared of all judgment and everybody should like just understand that we just had feelings. They were unplanned. Like that's the thing. Like they feel like what they have is beautiful. And for that
Yes.
reason, they were like, I mean, people are mad, but they like shouldn't be. And it's just so weird. Like neither
So
like
weird.
as particularly Willow, she's not used to being on this end. She's very content being the Willow to a Nell, but she's not comfortable being the villain in any scenario. And it's interesting watching her navigate this because she could go to Michael and say, "I'm sorry for hurting you." But outside
Yes.
of that, and honestly, she's not all that specific about it,
Nope.
but she's not acknowledging the damage it caused. She very little acknowledges, the disruption to her family, the kids, and everything. But outside of Michael, it's like she really is just like, yeah, they hate me. I don't know why. Like she says that at one point. Like she actually says it. She says something, and I wanted to like make a video clip because I think it was the same episode that like Anna and Laura like tag team Jens, which is really funny.
Yes. Yes.
It
Super
was it was
funny.
funny just having them be the ones in charge. But
Hmm.
then it was also funny because it's like they had nothing. Like as usual, Anna has nothing. It's
I
like, well,
know. So
do you
frustrating.
have an arrest warrant or whatever? Like what law did I break? She's like, none. Like, and so at one point they both kind of laugh at him, like, oh, like whatever. And I wanted to pair that scene because there's a point where Willow's in the gatehouse chase, and she's like, yeah, it's like his family, like, I don't know, like they kind of hate me for some reason. Like she kind of says that a little bit flippantly, like it's hard to
Hmm.
understand why they'd be so upset.
Exactly.
Like when it comes to everybody else, Willow doesn't really seem to, she's focused on, let's say, getting her kids back. And so she finds righteousness
Yes.
in that, right? She finds righteousness in my kids should be with me, but she really does not touch what she's done
Oh,
with
not even
regard and
close.
in the context of the family. And I guess I wonder if that's really going to happen. But something that caught me was Chase gets that news with her.
Hmm.
And then he tells Brooklyn, because that was my concern. Will he tell her? But he
Yes.
does. He's straightforward. But then like after they have their big moment, the comforting, Brooklyn then throws in this line. It's a bit of like a throwaway line, not much attention is placed on it. But she goes, I wish I was there when I got the news with you. She mentions that.
Yes.
So from that, when she says that, I'm like, well, that's going to be a problem because why else would you put in that random line? I wish I was there with you and you found out and you don't know that he was with Willow. And we've
Yeah.
never seen we've never seen Chase like in a bad way. I mean, he was bitter when Willow cheated. That was like one time, right? He was bitter. Then he kind of met
Hmm.
Brooklyn and got his little gray on. But then with
Yes.
his father, he was very mature about it. And he had to be because like Finn was taking a turn. He had to take care of Violet. So he handled that really, really well.
Hmm.
But how will he handle this?
I don't think he's gonna handle it very well.
And now it's confirmed. She's like, I had a pregnancy. The father is Dante. Now we're living together. And let me walk over to Cody, who knows and who's known from the beginning, even though we didn't know each other from the beginning. But as of a couple of weeks ago, we've established that we've known each other from camp. Like,
And that
and
he drove her to the bus stop.
and he confirms it. He's like, the last, like, that was the last time. And then I saw you again here when I came here, and I'm like, that's so not what happened, but okay, we'll go with it.
I love it.
So yeah, so he's like, yeah, I have no problem driving this girl. Like, he talks about Dante like his lifelong friend.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's the friend. Brooklyn was this girl his friend meets.
Yes.
And obviously, he gets to know Brooklyn too, but he's like, yeah, I'm never gonna tell my friend he's a dad. Like, what? Like, he like never had the urge. He's like, yeah, I forgot about it after I drove you. I'm like,
You know
that
what? Yeah, I
tracks.
just moved on with my life.
Given where Cody's at, it doesn't surprise me that he like is flippant or doesn't care. Like, I'm laughing because I'm like, you're Lucy. Like, you're Lucy. You're just like a rougher version of Lucy. Like, he's a town crier.
So
Gossipy.
funny.
He's gossipy. He's in
Yes.
everyone's business. He's running around saying crap that's just not true. He's like unsolicited. He's running around telling everybody that Jason is the father of
My
Sasha's
word.
baby. Like, no one's
He's
asking
like,
him.
these brothers, I don't understand.
Like, before, he had a problem with the rich, right? The rich and entitled.
Yes.
Now he has a problem with the criminals and the entitled criminals.
Exactly.
Oh, like
Exactly.
the
It's a
moment I saw
lot.
him pop up when Jason and Sasha were
Oh,
having a moment, I was like, oh, damn it, Cody. Like, now
there
we
we
know he's
go.
gonna run around and blab. So I find it really funny because it's like I talked about how, like, I feel Drew is playing the stereotypical woman in a situation where she's the mistress. Like, that's how he's playing it. And I'm feeling like Cody is
Mm-hmm.
playing the
Mm-hmm.
stereotypical, he's playing Lucy.
Oh yeah, totally. Now that you
He's
say it, like
playing
I'm looking
Lucy.
at everything through that lens and my videographic memories going back through scenes, and I totally agree.
And do you know it's like another role reversal for me?
Wow.
Is watching Anna and Felicia combined try to parent Emma.
Oh my gosh, it's so
They're
freaking funny.
they're like, we don't know because Mac raised Robin and Mac raised
Exactly.
Maxie. We didn't do much of the raising. So, like, I love that they flipped the script. So Mac raised their daughters.
Yeah,
And so now these two women combined are going to attempt to raise like a grandchild together, a grown one, right?
a
Like, she's
grown
in her
one.
20s. Like, she's
They're
like,
like, what do we
Mac.
do, guys? What do we do?
And I'm finding this so fascinating and funny to watch the situation these two women find themselves in.
Well, I love it, especially when Anna's like, well, I was kind of in the WSB at this age, so like I can't really speak to anything truly.
Oh my gosh. Well, what I find funny about the Emma and Anna dynamic is like, you see this other side of her, right? We haven't seen the grandma Anna in a long time. We've always had like the cop Anna, but then lately she's been like Anna Banana, Anna Cop, barely. And
Yep.
as an audience, we've been kind of like annoyed here and there. And there were times where we are like, rooting for the fact of like when Jason had like set her in her place a couple of times and calls her on her crap. But as an audience member, it's so fun having Emma bringing her down a notch.
Be like,
Like,
fun
it
grandma.
balances. Yeah, it like balances it. As an audience having to watch so many things, we're like, what are you doing? Like, Emma in that sense is a gift to us because it helps balance the scales.
Yes, I love that.
And I find it really interesting because like Robin was never a rebel, but now like
No.
the Emma character is. And I find it funny because it's like, how do we do this, right? We have like Robin. who's like a doctor, and her dad's a doctor. So the rebellious piece is my parents are doctors and their science tests on animals. And that's like the flip. That's where she's
Yeah.
like, I'm never gonna be like you. And you're like, okay, do you? I love animals. I think it's great.
I think it's great too.
But I
I
feel like
do.
for me, that's the link of like, that's what turned her, right? She was on that
Exactly.
science track until she got like that inside scoop of like the science lab and what that's like. And she was just
Hmm.
like, no,
Not for me,
no,
guys. Not
not
for
for
me.
me. And I'm just gonna run around acting like a rebel, hosting benefits. I host benefits at clubs and I raise money. I'm like, what's
I know,
going on? Like, what is
it's
your
so
life?
confusing.
I don't know if she's a rebel or not. Like, she's a rebel with a cause, and I feel like she's doing pretty good with her cause. Like, she's organized and she's rallying. Like, she's finding a violinist to host something at like the Metro Court.
Something
Oh, I
classy.
get it. She's Robin Hood, Robin's daughter. You know, when she stole that wallet.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. I like that. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
so
good. That's good.
I'm kind of seeing all that, and then even when Emma goes to see Geo, it's so interesting, right? Because you're like, oh yeah, this is such a funny portal, right? A door opens, Dante
Hmm, hmm.
answers, and then Emma
Yes.
walks
Oh,
us
I love
through
it.
the connection of Sam to her dad. You know, like I love Sam too because she could have been my stepmom when she was in another life. She was going to be engaged to my dad before my mom was alive again. Like that's what happened.
I
Just
know. And
like,
then like Dante giving Gio the business about being polite and a good kid.
yeah, dadding him in
Love
that
it. Love
moment,
it. Yes.
and just seeing the amount of people that like traipsed into the Quartermain house, and that's where she kind of, that's that point, right? She's that misunderstood girl who's like doing all these things that's rubbing Geo the wrong way. He's like, I'm a violinist. I don't go to clubs. And she's like, well, will you play the violin for me, for the animals? And he's like, sure, I'll call Olivia. And then when she got really angry, she's like, animals are serious business. He's like, whoa, like you have a heart. And so that's their whole love story.
I love your interpretation of the scene far more than the actual scene.
But then, like, there's Geo, like, that's his grandma in him, okay? Because you don't run
Oh
around telling other
yeah.
people your cook is pregnant.
Truly.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like Sasha didn't say it because she wanted to, and obviously Tracy was being such a poo. She was really going
Yeah.
at her,
Yeah.
and then the whole mouse thing. I'm like, what is
Like, what
going?
is happening?
What
Honestly,
is
Tracy has
going on?
lost it.
Yeah, because she's like mouse, and I'm like, okay, and then she's like climb this, and then it happens, and I'm loving like Jason in the background putting it together. He's like, wait a second.
I know the
Michael
story.
told me about a night and he met a girl and it was like a one night stand and he told me it was Sasha. Like I'm pretty sure he
I
said it was
know.
Sasha. Yeah.
Yes,
And,
he did.
and he's like, and I got to see a sex tape between Willow and I
His
didn't ask
first
for
night.
it, but it was handed to me. And so then like it's real okay, so this is the thing. Sasha's been Sasha. We know her. We know of her past, but she's
Yes.
kind of like that's been behind her, but they've been bringing it up. So
I
again,
know.
the writers are really they're using everything, right? They're using a person's entire history. And with
Yes.
Sasha, they're doing that. They're making sure that we don't let the audience forget that she was a con artist before, all that stuff.
Hmm.
But what Sasha wasn't was antagonistic.
Right?
Like,
Come on.
and so now I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because I remember in the podcast, Jason was saying, Seaburton was telling Chad Duell, like, well, somebody has to raise your baby because he's like, well, I don't know, like, are you gonna hook up with Sasha? And then he's like, what? And he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, that would be so weird. Your uncles, like, they were talking about it, but it's hard
Yeah.
to tell, like, because there's so many, like, the avenue for Jason to raise Michael's kid fits. Michael was his child. He pretended to be his biological father, but
Yeah.
Michael was in his heart and was essentially his first child. We've seen in recent scenes how emotional Jason was about Michael and how much he means to him. And we always knew that. But really taking that history to show what would drive Jason to basically like he like it was just so strange, like the fact that he didn't take Sasha at her word and was like, I need to hear it from Michael.
He was being a grandpa because that's what he's gonna be, guys.
Yeah. And like this is why I'm concerned about Sasha being antagonistic,
Okay.
because how do you start some romances?
Well, because she's being very Carly right now. This is the thing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what's hard for me because
100%.
I can't see any type of romantic. I can see Jason taking on a role of exactly that grandpa, caretaker.
Yes.
I'm there for you. I'll protect you. Like I would much prefer a revised role of what he was for Carly with his experience and love for Michael and take that and wrap it into something and be a good male role model in Sasha's life. I know, but it's a
Like
soap opera.
it's just I just want them to leave Sasha as Sasha,
Yes.
because you're not wrong when you say, you know, she was a bit Carly. Yeah, I could see that. The like the bravado, the pushing back.
Mhm.
Then there's the whole reminiscence of Sam. But the thing is he did this for so many
Yes.
people, right?
Mhm.
Of like when Sam was pregnant with Sunny's baby, he supported her.
Yes.
With Carly was different. He actually pretended to be Michael's father and raised him alone while Carly went to go get help. Um, so like I mean, we know that he's taken on the role of, let's say, parenting someone else's kid or kind of stepping in that way to support someone who was pregnant or had a baby. Is just I think right now for some fans it's like, what are you doing? Like are you creating another Sam and Jason? So it's weird because it's like I just want Sasha to be Sasha. Like Sasha actually has a
Same.
pretty rich history. She has a rich
Mhm.
history within the family. So cementing her deeper within the Corinthos Carly world makes sense because she's always had a foot in, because of her loyalty, because of saving Wiley and what she did for Michael. She's always had the respect of the adults in that family. So Sunny and Carly, and then to top that off when she was with Brando, and you know the fact that like everything she went through with like Mike and her baby loss and Sunny, like there's a lot of
Yes.
history there. um what Jason will end up doing, we're not sure. We know that he wants to go to Germany, so he's gonna just
Yes.
walk up the Quartermain house and get there.
Exactly.
um
Mhm.
he wants to hear it from Michael. He told Diane, but like I don't know what this means because I loved how they set that up. Like Maxie's at the Metro Court with Lulu. Cody
Mhm.
calls, come and see me. Jason's meeting Diane. And now Cody's running around telling people. There's so many avenues, right? Sasha could say, no, he's not the father. It was somebody random.
Exactly.
Like, it's really not him. Because at the same time, too, you have Sasha not wanting a Quartermain affiliation. Like, that was the whole.
Exactly.
So if you're not going to let Michael be the father, why on earth would you let Jason be
Why?
the. I mean, yes, Jason
Exactly.
could protect you from the Quartermain shenanigans, but I mean, I'd like to think that Michael would have as well.
Mhm.
Um, so for me, I'm like, okay, well, that's weird though. Like, if that's their logic, why would you like the only like it doesn't make sense given that that's like a big sticking point for Sasha. And there's
Yes.
just so many things, right? There's like if Willow finds out, she would use this in a custody
Oh
thing.
my gosh, yes.
So now I'm like, I don't know what it means that Cody is running around saying this. Is it a dismissible thing? Is it to protect Michael's custody case with Willow? I have to take Jason? Like, I don't know because there's room for it to be nothing as much as
I
there's
think
room for it to be something.
I agree. Just for all the reasons you said. Like the whole point is she doesn't want to be involved with that family. I think it's just something that Mac is going to be like, Cody, mind your own business. You need help. Come and live with me. I don't know. Like I feel like it's more on Cody than the decision that is going to be that Sasha's going to make.
Yeah. And I mean, I know it's weird because it's like you have a scene where Jason and Sasha are arguing and then the baby kicks and then he catches this fun moment when that's not at all what the scenes were.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's going to happen there or what Jason's presence will mean for Carly and Brennan's love bubble. So in one of the podcasts I watched over the holidays, it was Laura Wright, again on the Steve and Bradford's podcast. And at the time of that interview, she was saying, no, like I don't see anything romantic with like Brennan. She's like not in that place. Clearly not the case anymore
Right?
because that happened. So before we get to like where they cement their little romantical things, he goes for a massage.
Very relaxing. It was
He goes for a
super
massage.
relaxing. Mhm.
I was focused on the structure, the fact that the door had slits in it. I imagine air passes through. And what
Okay,
I can't
okay.
understand is why the sound was so muffled when grown men are strangling one another and knocking over. Actually, what are you knocking over? This isn't a surgical room. I don't know why so much metal is falling around
Wait, what
that
do we
scene.
usually call this corner? Logistics corner.
And it's a sound noise issue.
It
And
really was, though.
apparently, sound noise doesn't travel through the air slits, but
It does
somehow
not.
Carly heard the faint whisper of a little tussle.
Yes.
And we didn't know it at the time, but she did recognize that the person she knocked out was Valentin.
And Valentin, like, he didn't have a line, but he had a very sinister face. He did some really good face acting.
So, like, he's on the run
Yeah, totally on the run.
and he's like, Charlotte, just look at your
Hang here.
iPad, watch your iPad. I'll be right back.
Don't
Um,
message your friends. Here's the
so I
internet.
know, right? And so then, like, this was interesting to me. So he's on the floor. She's like, wake up, or I'll tell everyone you died wearing a bathrobe. So, why I thought that was so funny, I was like,
Mhm.
wow, especially because we were very critical of like the writing. It all felt very like jarring how they were moving
Yes.
pieces. But what I'm fascinated by is how careful they're being for these two characters to actually stay true to who they've been from the start. Like they've kept their dynamic true. So again, you're out of town, so that helps push their like relationship
Yes.
further. Trauma bonding, which is what Carly's trying to avoid, but she won't resist it. Um, and so what I thought was funny is that you threw in a life-threatening moment, but she ended it with a joke. So I just think it's really funny how even in that moment they're really keeping their whole dynamic really like light, and you could feel the beginning stages. So it's
Yes,
kind of
you
nice when they do
can.
like a romance in a certain way where it's like you've been there and you kind of feel those same feelings of when something's starting. Um it was just funny, right? Because you have Felicia warning her.
Yes.
And then like he shows up to her room. At first, did you think it was a fantasy or like real?
No, 100% a fantasy. Like, I'm like, there's no way this is real. Literally just walks in and kisses her.
Well, how I was trying to figure out if it was real or not was I kept rewinding to see if I could see the scar in his throat because at the
Oh my
spot he
gosh,
had
you're
a
so
really big
funny.
mark, but then in the
Yes.
scene he's wearing something that pops the collar. So if you're trying to hide the scar, it's a fantasy. I don't know that's what this logic is, but if you could see the scar, then it's real. And I faintly saw the scar, but I still wasn't sure.
Love it. Love it.
even
Love
even with
all this
my
detective work.
yeah, my foolproof theory still. So then he was like, I didn't come here to bed you. And she's
I
like,
know,
you
I was
didn't?
dying.
I was like, so just to kiss a little? Like in my head, I'm like, then
Like,
what are you
it's
there for?
hot. It's hot.
So then I'm like, is that the court of main estate?
Totally.
So I just thought that it was so jarring because I felt like I was in Port Charles. I know this sounds stupid,
Yes, no, but
but
same.
but when you show me the Germany like landscape and then I'm in her hotel, I'm in Germany because usually
Totally.
they use one hotel for all of Europe,
It's so true.
right? The France hotel, that's
Yes,
France, Prague, but it's usually
everywhere.
that one that Lulu is in. So the fact that they gave her a different set and a spa, I was like, look at all these sets they're giving just
Damn.
so these two can hook up.
Right?
And I didn't know what to feel about this because what I thought the most fascinating about their little, you know, chat or like outside romantical thing was they're getting to know each other. So, Carly feels that she knows them. So now they're doing the whole getting to know you thing. And it was so weird hearing someone else give a backstory that wasn't Jason or Sunny. Like the fact that we were getting a bromance
Right.
history, and for the first time, we were not hearing about Sunny's past, we were hearing about Jason's past, but we were still hearing a past about a character we know. So it was so interesting hearing Jack talk about Valentin so in depth. And I'm like, I wonder if I could find the clip because they did do a clip they showed because he mentioned his disfigurement. or his like
Yes.
physical. He had a hunchback.
Yes, yes, I remember
And they
you
even like
telling
showed
me.
it. They had like it was so such a weird. It was when like Anna's sister Alex was pretending to be her, and then we
Yes.
started to learn that there was like this past love that Valentin had for Anna,
Yeah, it was all so
and
weird.
he was with Nina at the time, and you were like feeling it. You're like, what's going on? It's like, well, you didn't like me because that I was disfigured. You're like, what is this story? And then they show you everything. You're like,
Yeah.
okay. But it was really cool listening to the dynamics of like, will I kill my friend? Won't I kill my friend? Um
Yes.
so again, they're getting to know each other. Everything's going well. She's learning a lot about Jack and Valentine. She actually knows more right now. Now she's gonna go back with that intel, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
And now I don't know what that means. If it means that like they're going to end up finding Charlotte and bringing her back, or I don't know what the deal is, like what their intentions are about that. So I don't know if that's what the setup was.
I mean, I hope so. That would just kind of like close the loop a little bit on that story. Like, I don't believe they're gonna actually kill off Valentine, so he has to go into
No,
deeper hiding, right?
no, but I'm a jerk. I'm like, Lulu, get it
I
together.
mean, no, but
Like
truly, I
I
cannot.
want her to be reunited with Charlotte, but not really. But if Charlotte comes back, I hope she's like a brat a little bit,
She
just for
has to
fun.
be.
Just for fun, because like I'm listening to Lulu whine. She's like, oh my gosh, like Sam like took care of like Rocco, and and they're talking about that. She's like, I don't know how I could like repay them. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh,
just
it's
support
so
them.
frustrating.
Like it's not
No, no, no,
complicated.
no.
Just
Exactly, exactly. I have done nothing. I have tried absolutely nothing, but I'm all out of ideas.
it's just ridiculous. Cause she's like, Dante and Rocco are really hurting, and she like took care of my kids when I wasn't around. Like, I don't know, like what can I do? I don't know. Go see me.
Do
Go
something. Yeah.
go hang out at the quarter means.
Yeah.
Like see if all the kids need anything.
Yeah.
Just maybe be there, hang out with them. I just
I
couldn't with that.
can't.
But I
Hmm.
don't hate the that it's coming out about her feelings that she's talking about it. Like that, I'm like, all right, it fits. Obviously, it's inappropriate to share it with Dante, which is what her
Hmm.
mom told her, but this is why it fits really well. Like Brooklyn was debating telling Chase, but now it's like if she tells Chase, she can't be like, I don't remember who the dad was. Ah, you know?
It was just like Sasha. I just slept with a bunch of guys. I don't
Oh
know
my, I
what
couldn't believe she said that. I was like, what?
happened.
but yeah, like that was it got so messy the more she talked about it. And that's why I was like, okay, this is like really good because she's like playing out the different scenarios with Lois.
Yes.
And she's like, okay, but because I'm like, yeah, tell Chase, I think it's important for him to know that like I don't know, like I'm hoping it would make things lighter for him to be like you're not depriving her of like the physical experience.
Yeah.
Like that's what she's trying to do is lessen the weight for Chase. But then I'm like, oh yeah, because then you have to say it's like the guy who lives down the hall. And then
Right?
and then the mom has to be like, your baby is further down the hall. It's just like a really
I love it so
messy hall
much.
situation. But yeah, that was
Hallway
really bad
drama.
because I was like, it's true. Like if you tell Chase, you have to kind of tell him everything. And then Dante's gonna
Hmm.
know. And then she ran around with Cody. So now I'm just like, this is gonna be funny. Like, how is this gonna come out? Because it's gonna come out.
I mean, they did hug, so Lulu's gonna lose her crap.
But I feel that's the thing. Like, I get it, it's awkward, but it makes me so angry. It's like that was like a genuine, honest moment, but she has to back off because she doesn't want to make Lulu mad. Like, she can't
So
have that relationship with Dante.
I really loved. I think that I've had a hard time with Lulu over the past couple of weeks since she's been back. But I have to
Yeah.
say, this is the first week. I'm not saying like I love her, but I'm digging a little bit of this journey in terms of her learning how to be a human. It's kind of
Yeah.
like what we did with Nina, watching her kind of take steps again. And especially that scene with like Maxie and Brooklyn,
Hmm.
where Brooklyn stood up for Maxie and tried to explain to her, like, you're not the only one in this room walking through your journey of life. This is what has happened. This is why I'm standing up for not only myself, but who you so claim to love so hard and is your best friend. This is her company. It's not your buddy hiring you. It is the CEO, the major decision maker of the company, the brains of
Yes.
it all.
It's not
you
like she
know?
works at a frozen yogurt shop, but she's
Well,
like,
you
"Do you wanna
know?
do shifts with me?" No, but you're right, though. I think that woke her up a little bit
Oh, yeah,
to the reality
definitely.
that this is a real company with real people and the environment matters. It can't be just a place you step in and cause a lot of drama. But
Mhm.
just like, and I'm glad that Maxie called her out on, you do make it awkward because now
Yeah,
you're feigning innocent. Why don't we get along? I don't know, Lulu, why? Because like Brooklyn has approached you like an adult since you've
yeah,
been back, and you haven't been able to do that. You haven't been able to, reconcile like that two things can be true. This person hurt you, you had a
exactly.
rocky history, but they may not be the same person anymore. And so, yeah, I'm glad that came out. But there is another thing, and I agree. So when I said before, like how like liking her talking about her feelings, I think that's it. Just like there are moments where she's tolerable.
Mhm.
And one thing I would like to be called out on at some point, because I'm sorry, I will never get over the fact that she pretended to be a burlesque person
No, same,
to
same,
find her
cannot.
dad.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
really gross. I remember that
Super
whole
gross.
storyline and I was so ewed by it. And her daddy issues, like she literally wears it on a t-shirt. And I just feel like every time she talks about Valentine, she could be talking about Luke. She glorifies Luke and villainizes Valentine when if her
Yes.
dad could take her on the run. She said it to Lucky, you got the best years. And we saw the conversation that Laura had with Lucky about his wandering ways. And she said, it makes sense for you. Like your home was out on the run. When we had Lulu, we were more stable. So it's normal that for some people who would like go home to feel stable, you go out and find chaos as your home.
Yes.
And so like they had that really serious conversation. There's Lulu still acting like a kid, being like, I really want my dad to think I'm cool. And I really
Yeah,
want to
it's
be a
it's
cool
messed up.
sister. And so at some point, I kind of want that. Like she won't stop talking about how dangerous Valentine is for Charlotte, that she shouldn't be on the run, but she would literally give anything to be lucky and be on the run with her parents.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So yeah, that's something I would love kind of shoved in her face. So there were some intense conversations, like I'm liking how intense the conversations are with Dante and Lulu. I like that he calls her out on her crap because it makes me feel less crazy because even when they were married, she was just like so chaotic and it was a lot for Dante.
Yes, absolutely.
And I kind of like that he calls those things out. Like she and like even when she talks to Laura, like everyone kind of tiptoes. She's like, I don't like to be handled. And I'm like, but you make reckless decisions. Like you're acting like a kid
Exactly.
and you take pride in it. So hopefully that will die down over time the more she gets settled. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, Gold started Dante, his performance of like learning Sam was murdered, his scenes with like
Oh,
Anna.
so good. Yes.
But going back to his final scene with Brooklyn, so before we were talking about how like everything connects, like from like
Yes.
the whatever. So like that's the thing, right? We see that like Chase has this person he can confide in that's not Brooklyn about things. Brooklyn's
Mhm.
confiding in her mom. He's going to end up confiding in Willow. That relationship will build. We don't know what will come of it. And what will Drew do
Mhm.
to poor Chasey if he finds out that like he got
Oh.
dumped for Chase? And I mean, Dante doesn't like to be lied to either. He's been through the situation of his mom lying about who his father was.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, but that hug and learning that they're going to be in the house with their child, like, I mean, what will that do for Brooklyn and Dante and Gio? And she said it before, right? I get along really well with Rocco.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just there's one thing that's a bit off.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Is that we originally thought that Lulu would kind of hang with Cody, but
Yeah, totally.
man, were we thrown a curveball with
Yes, with little Miss
Molly.
Molly.
So, have you noticed the turn that is being taken with Molly and Christina?
Did they get along? Kind
No,
of.
they're
I'm
positioning, they're
kidding.
positioning, they're positioning Christina as stable.
Oh, 100%.
So remember when she walked in? she's like,
Mhm.
Molly, can you chill? Like, we have news. And she's like, and then Molly's taking it. She's like, oh, okay, sorry. And she comes from like being flustered because of Cody. And
Yes.
then when she's starting to be all, well, do we have DAs on it? I'll do this, I'll do that. She's like, would you stop? This is not a case, it's our sister.
I loved it. I loved it
And she
hard.
stopped. And then like her stability when Rick confronts them. So, and especially with the opening of her club, and even Molly saying, the owner is my sister. So they're really doing the thing we've been waiting for so long, basically portraying the version of Kristina that someone new like Natalia sees. That's the version we're going to get
Absolutely.
now. For so long they keep portraying the version that like Molly sees, that Alexis sees. And she's not just those things. Like, she is emotional, she is these things, she has made mistakes, but she's more than that. And that's the point, right? It with Natalia into the picture, like Sunny has always had a different viewpoint and a manner of dealing with Kristina,
Mhm.
but he obviously underneath that feels she needs to be taken care of. Like, let's be real. But Natalia coming in showed that she was a person who saw where Kristina landed. And like some of us, like us as the viewers, and I know other people have seen Kristina's growth. So we do acknowledge that she's many things, not just one. And we can see how all the characters always hone in on one aspect of her and then make a caricature.
100%.
And I like that Natalia comes in with a fresh perspective and, well, this is what I saw. Like, you're also these things, you're strong, you're handling your life. And that's the version we're going to see. It's not that I think she's replacing Sam, but I feel like she's in a place where she can take on that role of older sister that she's never felt she's had before.
Mhm.
And also it's like she went through her mess, remember? So they made a point of
Yes.
showing her like in all her mess and going to therapy, and we never saw Molly's journey. We never did, right? We
That's
just
true.
saw
Yeah.
we saw her take a distance. We saw her try to have patience with her sister. We see that any chance she gets, she still makes digs at her. Like, she even
Mhm.
makes digs about her sister in the context of work, like when she's talking
Oh,
to
so
colleagues
bad.
or when she's talking to
Yes.
Cody about consequences. And I'm finding this so interesting because, like, Molly is successful on paper, right? That's how she knows how to do life. She knows how to play those pieces, but she doesn't know about
Yes.
the emotional aspect, right? The more messier side of life, where most of life is actually lived. And
Yes.
it's kind of like when she cheated on TJ, she ran to Kristina about it because she doesn't know about like doing, like, that's where Kristina has value for her that she won't
Mhm.
acknowledge. But when it comes to like emotions, handling things like that, she kind of does go to Kristina. And what I find so funny is that she's spending all this time finger pointing at Kristina, talking about messy people, talking about people who are not accountable.
Mhm.
And now she's got Cody. I'm like, how's Cody? Like, Cody's a
How?
mess. And I'm
Yes, so mess.
laughing because she complains a lot about, you know, ugh, it's always about Christina and I always have to step up with her and I always have to do this. And while we were talking about the relationship, I was saying, like, I know it's hard for Molly that she's not getting a lot of space in her family, but now that she's an adult, she has to take responsibility for the fact that she plays along and she thrives in being the savior. And I'm thinking
Yes.
back to her dating history. When
Tell
TJ came on the
me.
scene, he was considered to be a little bit of a rebel,
That's
right?
so
He
true.
he was angry, right? His
Mhm.
like his mom just goes, "Here, I'm taking you. I'm going away for a job. Your dad's dead. That's his buddy. He's going to raise you now for at least a couple of years." Leaves the kid. Molly meets him. He's very like, and like, I think it was, yeah, Sean and Alexis, started to get along and these characters got to know each other. And there is the relationship of TJ and Molly, but that's how it started out. She met somebody who was a bit more like on the rebel side of things, a little bit messy, mind you, like he's a doctor. So he,
Yeah.
like, TJ was never that messy, but they definitely had him be like the bad boy a little bit. And now
Yeah,
Cody,
absolutely.
so it's sort of like really funny because I'm like, where is this going? But I mean, I feel like I don't think it's long lasting with Cody, but I think Cody could be that relationship that shows her some compassion for like Kristina and gives her a little bit of balance. And like I said, I think the sisters needed space, and I think that that Molly deserved to ping pong between the extremes until she landed somewhere in the middle. And I think that
Yes.
like Cody is definitely going to be part of her ping ponging until she finds more of a balanced view, because like as a person, forget Kristina, forget her family, as a person she's never going to be like happy and like mellow, like without finding somewhat of a middle ground. She can't hide in her work forever.
No, she really cannot. So it's definitely fun to watch because I would love to see a Molly and Cody situation.
Yes, yes, because I mean, look, that's what's happening. It's literally what they're positioning. They're like opposites attract. But yeah, so I don't know what that means, because in this like huge mess of characters with overlapping story, like I don't know where Lulu lands, because I honestly thought like if this blows up, it's in the mess. I just thought maybe she would have ended up with like Cody by the time that like Dante was interested, but I don't even know if it's going to be that smooth, right? How's he going to feel with Brooklyn? What's that going to feel like? To know that he
Exactly.
has a baby mama. What's that going to be like?
Because he's not that guy, you know?
In what way? What do you mean, not that guy?
That guy to just have a kid out there and not be 100% fully invested. He's fully invested in his children
Yeah.
and Sam's kids. Like, he's
Yeah.
just,
But
he
what would
doesn't, I
that
feel like he doesn't have the capacity, right, to deal with somebody who's like married to somebody else and they have a kid together. Like, that's so outside of his realm.
like? So what do you mean? You mean that he'll bond with? Because that's the thing. They're both going to be invested in Geo, and imagine Geo processing this. Like, there's going to be a lot
I
of bonding time for them, and
know.
maybe it will just be like love, because like as it stands right now, Brooklyn and Dante have love, like they have
They
a
do,
long-standing
yeah.
history, and that's what it is right now. And I mean, it is possible, because that's also an option, right? We saw this scene today. What we saw was like literally like pure just love. And then Lulu walked in, and she's in love with Dante, so it's obviously, we get it, she's going to be jealous. She's also jealous of like Sam and everything and all that stuff. But it's possible that Brooklyn and Dante will continue to have just a big love for each other that will then drive Lulu crazy, that'll then drive her to do something like with
Ah,
Cody.
yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I see what you're
Even
saying here.
right? Like because like Dante will be like, "No, I'm not in love with Brooklyn." And maybe he
Mhm.
does start to become fond for Lulu, or they get along, but she might misinterpret.
As she so does.
Yeah.
She's very Cody in the sense like she's gonna catch even before she finds out they have a kid together, she's gonna catch like a snippet of something and she's just gonna run wild.
I wonder, like I'm so curious of how that's going to come out, cuz like I don't know. Like Lois has done a good job, but I don't know. The more she sees Brooklyn suffer, like
Um,
whether or not Brooklyn decides to tell anybody, there's a possibility Lois might tell her first. Like Lois might burst.
her eye, like I loved everything about Lois's acting this week. Like she's trying so hard to keep it together to see all sides of things, but her eyes just tell you everything.
I know. I know. Oh gosh. Anyways. Are you shocked that Sunny didn't have a heart thingy in that room?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So not everyone knows about Michael, because some people know different versions of the story, like about the digitalis.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking about everybody, because like apparently a lot of learning of this happened in Diane's office. It was very busy this week. The nail salon was busy this week. But like Alexis was only told about Sam, whereas like Chase, I mean they're police, but Chase and Dante know about Michael, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just
Dante.
like
Okay, right.
yeah, and I just felt like when you have a stronger reaction to your brother, like you know what I mean? These are all people you
Yeah.
know. Like Dex may not have been your fave, but like you knew him. Sam, obviously. So yeah, it's just interesting, because like no one's really reacting to the Michael part of the news.
So true. Because he survived.
Yeah, nobody cares. Like you're fine.
Like,
You're in
guys, he's
Germany.
here. Like, come on. It's fine.
You're in Germany. Yeah. With like a million custody battles going on with that.
Oh
It's
my
just
gosh,
great.
so
It's
many
so
children.
like I mean again, so many decisions we didn't like, about Sam not being there, but you're watching it play out and you're like, wow. And like with Michael, of course I don't like the fact that he's not there, but I feel like he is in a way, because so much story around him is happening and he's
Yes.
coming up a lot. So I have to say that makes it easier. But it's interesting to see how complicated his absence is making things. So it's like Sorry Not Sorry. It's pretty good. They've done a pretty good job with this.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah,
Um, I think we did it.
I think we did do it.
We did. We absolutely did. Did you have any favorite lines?
I yes, I do. It's two.
Okay.
It's all Quartermain related. And so when Ned is trying to talk to Tracy saying, who can really cast stones about infidelity? And Olivia said, not you. And she's like, sorry, it was
She
a
was
reflex.
amazing.
Um, and then the other one was when Tracy was complaining about children. And then Ned in a soft voice is like, Mother, I thought you liked children. You just kidnapped two.
So good. Okay.
That
Same,
was
my
so
faves
good.
as well.
Yeah.
And I have stars for those exact same scenes. Like Tracy was like so over the top. We're of course waiting for her and Martin to like. I want to see like a hookup. I want to see Tracy like hook up with somebody, not like
Oh,
a
you mean
date.
yeah, you mean like kissing out like during a fight.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
Like
yes,
they're so mad and they're yelling at each other, and then
yes.
Martin just like grabs her and kisses her, and then she like does not know what to do with that.
I want like fun scenes like that, and I look forward to like Lucy seeing it.
Freaking the heck out. Yeah,
Yeah. One thing
love
I'm
that.
looking forward to understanding more fully is like where we're going with the Sunny thing. Like, what does this mean? Right? Like
I
he's
know I'm
has
scared.
yeah. Yeah, like he has this trip coming, but I'm just not sure what any of that means.
Yeah, I don't like
And
it.
apparently kisses don't cover your legal fees. Ugh.
That was amazing. That
Awkward.
kiss was hot though. Like I like them together. They have good chemistry. I like that they're both like kind of sinister, but like they're super. They get each other. Like it's really good.
Okay. Do you know what's sad for me? You know me. I mean, I
What?
don't even know if
Yeah.
this consists of logistics corner, but I'll focus on the wrong thing. But all I kept thinking, even when they were kissing, is what is Ava going to do with the decor? Like, I can't wait to see the aesthetic she
Me
brings for
too,
that place.
though.
That's all
It's
I
gonna
was
be
thinking.
stunning. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it hard.
Store.
Uh, stars to everybody. Just honestly, stars to everybody. Stars
Oh, come
to
on. Let me
Joss
itemize them.
volunteering.
Let me itemize. Let me
Okay, go ahead.
itemize.
Go ahead. Do it. Do it.
I
Lucky
don't
and
know.
Elizabeth. I love them.
Yes,
Stars.
yes, I love that. Carly and Brennan. I mean, look, you can't argue with the chemistry. I'm gonna give a star to the town crier. I'm gonna give a star to Brooklyn, Lois, Chase. I find it funny, even though like Tracy doesn't make sense really when she's like yelling and trying to control everything Willow's doing. I'm still gonna give
Yeah,
her a star because it's just entertaining.
that's
Um,
amazing.
I'm gonna give a star to Trina and Kai. I like
Yes.
their situation. I do. I mean, I know Trina loves the project, but what's interesting about this guy is that he's not the fixer upper in the way that she's used to, right? Like with Spencer, she was
No,
constantly
yeah.
like, you need to be better. Let's keep working at it. So I know that he's like a little down and out right now, but I look forward to that relationship because I feel like this guy could like challenge Trina in a good way and
Hmm.
maybe like I don't know, like offer her a little fun. Like I feel like Trina's a great character and she's got a lot going for her, but I feel like she can use some growth still in her character and I see it
Yes.
happening with a guy like Kai. Like I really feel like he can like challenge her in really really good ways. And
Hmm.
star 2 Curtis, I'm doing it. I did it. I
Oh
don't
my
think it's
God.
ever
This is,
happened.
guys, we don't have
Yeah, it's
special
never
music, but
happened.
like this is a
Dun,
moment
dun, dun, dun. I
in
don't know what happened.
the Port Charles Update podcast. We've been doing it
Yeah,
for, a good 6 years. This is like a big deal, guys,
yeah, yeah.
ladies, everybody who listens.
Yes. And I want to give a star to the Alexis moment with Diane and Diane being all teary trying to support
Oh,
Alexis.
so good. Love their friendship. Love them. Diane, I don't know if she did something different. I mean, she always looks on point. Her character is on point, but there's something just a little magical about her character this week. I don't know what it is.
I'm just gonna put this out there. Like for a long time, TJ got a lot of airtime and like Molly a little bit less. And it looks like Molly's gonna be given like a fun story. But I still want
Mhm.
TJ back. And if she's having a new love interest, I want to know what's gonna go down with TJ. TJ, come back. Come back to the hospital. Come on. I want him to have some fun. I've wanted him to be with someone else even when he was with mom.
I know. You're like, will he hook up with Willow? Who will he hook up with?
Yeah, I kind of want I want me some TJ and I want him to come back. Oh my gosh, no, no, it's not gonna happen. Not with Kristina. Mm-mm, right?
Oh no, 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 no,
No,
no, nope,
no,
nope,
no,
nope, nope.
no.
Okay, we did it, folks. It's our first podcast back since we're on vacation. Our brains are kind of back.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for listening. That's a wrap, folks. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.
Bye.